Welcome back to the Throttle YouTube channel. My name is Quinn. I'm here with Ricky, and today we're going to be working on our Civic Type R. Now, one of the things that when this car came out initially was people who were taking them to the track were finding that the cooling systems were not quite sufficient. The cars on track would overheat, which is not good. This is our current sweepstakes car. Obviously, we want to give a car away to someone who can actually use it. Should they decide to take the car to the track, this thing is going to be ready to go. So what do we have here, Ricky?
We have our Mishimoto radiator. We have our peak coolant. We have a Power Wheel radiator. Because we're gonna be...
A what?
Why is it so...
What did you say? Did you say Power Wheels radiator?
Oh, what is this?
No. So we have an upgraded X-Line radiator by Mishimoto. So this is a much beefier, much stronger unit than the factory one. This has aluminum end tanks as opposed to the plastic end tanks of the factory one. Over time, they kind of wear out, and the plastic and the aluminum have different thermal expansion rates, so they tend to leak from the end tank. So having a full aluminum end tank is going to fix that. This is also a race add-on secondary radiator. So this is going to pretty much add in line with the cooling system and extract additional heat from the engine bay, keeping the coolant temps down, which is really nice.
Wait, hold on. A radiator.
We have a radiator.
Bigger.
Yes.
Better.
Yes.
Fatter.
Yes.
And we have another radiator.
Yeah, a race radiator. So a secondary radiator.
This
better
is the
cooling.
One.
Yes. That one's actually really cool. So this sits...
This is sick.
This sits behind the intake manifold, kind of under, so you won't even really see it, but it taps in line with the rear heater hoses, which is really cool. And we have a bunch of bracketry by Mishimoto that's gonna allow this to sit pretty much in like a factory style would, which is really cool. This is
pretty cool.
So it's not just gonna be hanging out somewhere in the car, it's actually gonna be hard mounted, which is really cool. So I'm excited to see all this stuff go on. I love Mishimoto because they create these brackets and make it a very bolt-on solution with a lot of their products, which is really nice. We also have an oil cooler here. We have an oil sandwich plate. So this has a thermostat inside. It's only gonna use the cooler when the oil temperature is above a certain temperature. This is an add-on to the factory oil cooler, which is a water to oil cooler. So having a secondary oil cooler is gonna be really nice. And of course we have the big cooler itself, and we have bracketry to make it an OEM mounting solution, which is really nice.
Wait, so this already has an oil cooler in it?
Yeah, so it has a oil cooler that's run by the coolant system. So the coolant extracts the heat from the oil.
So we're
adding a secondary. So
not replacing.
Yeah, so it's gonna have two oil coolers. And this is a big boy, and these are the mounts to set it up in the front corner, which is gonna be really cool. We have a thermostat, which is a race thermostat. It has a lower temperature than the factory one, which is gonna allow the cooling system to operate at a lower heat range, which is really nice. And we have these, which are a nice silicone hose upgrade. I haven't seen it wrapped in this.
Yeah, this is a very nice looking piece. Super different from Mishimoto. We usually get the glossy
style.
So, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. This is going to replace our factory rubber hose, which typically degrades over time, like silicone won't, which is good. So these are going to be much more durable in the long run. And we're going to be replacing the coolant expansion tank with a aluminum component by Mishimoto. Yep. It's got a little peephole there, which is really cool. And it's going to replace the factory plastic one, which is kind of ugly. Yeah. It is. It's a really nice looking piece. Cool. So the only thing really light colored plastic in this engine bay is actually our coolant reservoir, and that's going to get rid of that. We got a lot of work to do. Let's start by draining the cooling system and getting all these OEM components off. Factory radiator is out. We're going to take the fan off, get that set up on our new X-Line radiator, and then drop that whole thing in as one. Ta-da! Boom! Stock thermostat.
This is a way bigger drain plug, and I'm gonna go get the right size so we can...
So that's one thing you guys need to check for when you get something aftermarket like this, is a lot of times they're assembled just to be sent out. They're not really assembled to be installed, so you gotta make sure everything's nice and tight. In this case, we have to make sure the drain plug is tight, get that tight, and we have a sensor that needs to go on and get tightened. That needs to come off the factory radiator. So just going through, making sure everything on your new products are tight before you put it on the car. Otherwise, you're gonna find out when you put coolant in it that the drain plug is loose and it's gonna leak everywhere. So.
We transfer both fans from the original Type R radiator. We have the sensor installed, and then we make sure that the drain plug was completely tight. We also have the bottom bushings for the mount already set to go. The next step for this is to wait for Quinn to get a thermostat installed, a new one, and from there we'll put this thing right back in the car.
So that's our old thermostat, and here's our new Mishimoto one. Something interesting about it is it doesn't have a housing with it. Now this is starting to become like more of a commonplace with the newer cars, where you'll actually reuse the existing thermostat housing. In a lot of cases, you'll just replace the entire thing. It'll come with the housing on its own, but a lot of the newer cars don't. If you notice, we don't have the housing, so we're going to utilize the factory housing. This comes apart actually pretty quick and easy, but what it's going to do is allow us to have an OEM Honda housing with our new race thermostat in it, so you have no concerns about fitment issues or anything like that. It's just a simple replacement. It's going to be a lot easier to set up and install the oil cooler with the radiator out of the way, because we can access those lines and get those lines through the areas we need them to be without fighting a radiator. So we're going to get that set up, get it bolted down, run our lines, get our sandwich plate on, and then our radiator will go back in.
What are you doing out here, Quinn? Dude, what's taking so long? Quinn.
Hey.
What is this? Oh! Let's take a second to tell you about today's sponsor, Manscaped. Christmas came early this year because I just got gifted the new Performance Package by Manscaped. Let's check it out. Manscaped created the first all-in-one men's grooming kit that has you covered from head to toe, literally. The Lawnmower 4.0 waterproof cordless trimmer is built with advanced skin-safe technology, which helps reduce nicks and cuts on your most sensitive areas. It has this cool LED light on the bottom, which makes it perfect for grooming on those cold, dark winter nights. Here's a stocking stuffer for you. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. This is a real game changer. New to the collection is the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer. I had no idea I needed this so bad, but I'm so glad that Santa hooked it up for me. The Weed Whacker has these 360 rotary blades and the same skin-safe technology from the trimmer, so it helps prevent tugging and tears in your nose and your ears. If you've got a special man in your life that's been extra good this year, make sure you get him the Performance Package by Manscaped. And for a limited time, you'll also get 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. So don't wait, go to manscaped.com using the link in the video description and use our promo code throtl to get 20% off plus free international shipping plus the 2 free gifts. Now that's it for me. Now let's get back to the video.
Well, the front end of our FK8 Civic Type R is blown apart, and while it is blown apart, it's a great idea to throw on these new Morimoto XB LED headlights. These fit any Civic from 16 all the way up to current day. It does not have to be a Type R, it will fit anything 2016 and above of the Civic nature or Civic family. If you'll allow me to geek out a little bit on these headlights, I'd like to show you some of the cool features on this that upgrade from even the Type R headlights to something even cooler. Now what you see up front here is an LED strip. This is a 5000K running light, and it is a switchback as well. Not only is it a switchback, but the turn signal is sequential, so it's gonna load up. It's gonna be one of those cool looking load up turn signals, kind of like what we threw on our Supra. Not only that, our Civic is of course gloss black, and the inside of this housing is gloss black to match that and make it look much more aggressive as well. Another thing to point out is that the lenses of these are OE manufacturer spec, and they are UV protected, and they will not crack, yellow, or discolor in any way, and they have a 5-year warranty straight from Morimoto. Let's take a look at the headlights we're going to be replacing. These are the Civic Type R headlights. They are an upgrade from your standard Civic. They are technically LED as well. However, the new ones are a projected LED, which means they have a dedicated kind of laser focused projector to emit the beam. These are LEDs that shoot down into a scatter housing, so you're still going to have the refraction of light to the side instead of straight ahead where you want your beam to be focused. So we're going to be upgrading that. It's no longer going to be the scatter housing, it's going to be the black projector housing. Also, we have, it looks like 2 separate LED strips. You have your turn signal, which is up here on top, and you have your daytime running light, which is down here on bottom. These are going to be joined and much more, kind of an aggressive line in comparison to this stock format. So let's take a look at how these headlights project onto about 10 feet away. We're going to put them on a dark blanket, kind of show you the cutoff beam and the color that's emitted. And then once we're done installing the new XB LED headlights from Morimoto, we'll show you afterwards how much sharper, brighter, and probably a cleaner white. And we'll show you the cool sequential turn signals as well. All right, so we have our old ones turned on, and just kind of taking a look at what it looks like with just standard on. You got your pure white daytime running light here. You have your outside LED scatters that are on for the low beam. As soon as you flick on the high beams, these inner ones aim the scatter a little bit higher, and that's your brights. Actually, it's a pretty clean white LED color. It's probably about 5000K, and the cutoff is pretty clean, but there still is plenty of room for improvement, and that's where Morimoto is going to come in. It's going to give you a much more aggressive look, even when the car's just turned off and sitting there. It's going to be a much more aggressive housing. It's going to give you better light emission, and it's just going to be much cleaner. So let's get one of the sides tossed in with the Morimoto, and then we'll show you guys the comparison for what they look like on the car, and then what they're actually showing in front here.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Throttle YouTube channel and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss a thing.
Quick little parts transfer from the old headlight to the new headlight. A couple of 10 mil bolts right here, and this kind of bottom mount bracket, which fastens to just above the bash bar on the front side. It's gonna transfer over to here. Ooh, look at that. Woo! We got our little ballast here. That's actually gonna take 12 volt to like an incandescent bulb, format it for the LEDs, and give it clean, unflickering power. Normally when you do a retrofit, like an HID setup or something yourself, you have to find a place to mount those. So it's really nice that that comes mounted already to the bottom of the housing. They obviously did the research to put it somewhere where if it gets hot, it's not gonna damage anything. So it's already done. It's really helpful to use OE parts like this on the bottom of the housing. It's gonna give you factory gaps. It's gonna give you factory fitment, and it's really gonna give you peace of mind that the brackets themselves are gonna be up to OE quality. That's really cool that they utilize the brackets like this. Just as easy as taking it out, it was just as easy to put in. Once I had that bottom bracket transferred, this is the stock harness, and it just plugs right into that 8-pin connector. Clickety click. Now before I go buttoning all this up, let's turn these on. Let's see what they look like side by side. Let's see what they look like as far as what they're putting on the curtain, and then we'll fasten it up and get onto the other side. So just on the aesthetic side, you can see that the right side with the new Morimoto looks much more aggressive, and it's really a better looking headlight. Now let's see what they have as far as output. Well, we got the side-by-side comparison. You guys can tell that this is much more aggressive looking. One thing going from a scatter housing to a projector housing is the daytime running light on this side is much more pronounced because you don't have all the refracted light from the scatter housing kind of doling it out. You have that clean cut daytime running light versus it's almost like this is just one big bright light. So that's a huge difference that I see. And of course the black housing also helps with that. Well, let's see what the brights and the turn signals look like and that sequential turn signal. I can't wait. Ooh, dang, that's smooth. That's got a lot of steps to it. See that, Mickey? Yeah, it looks nice. Dude, heck yeah. Now that is like such an upscale look. The top of the line headlight from Honda, and it's just all at once. Then you got these.
Bro, that's
Dude,
sick.
the sequential speaks to me, I love it. That's as bright as the Super ones.
Yeah, like this one's bright, but that one, ooh,
It's a smooth sequential
I mean,
too.
they would move out that way.
Dude, it's smooth.
You ain't missing that. Oh my dude, it's blinding. Yeah, right. Also like the individual lights inside there too. Wow, what an upgrade.
So this is obviously the factory Honda over here, the headlight, and you can see the much cleaner and almost like the discoloration of the cutoff right here. Very sharp, and yet they're almost aimed exactly the same. This, we may have some aiming to do obviously just because these are out of the box. This is really cool, really nice clean cutoff, and it's about the same color frequency. So if you like that, you get to keep it, but you get a much cleaner light output. Now that we've had our side-by-side comparison, looking at the headlights themselves and seeing what their output is, it's time to put the driver's side on, and then we'll aim these for the appropriate height, and that's it. That's our headlights done. Take out, put back in, plug in, you're good. All right, well, that is it for the Morimoto headlight install for our Civic Type R, and it is a great product. As you can see behind me, this is a major upgrade for your base all the way up to your Type R Civic, and it fits any model from 2016 to current, and of course, it's available on throtl.com, so if you have an FK and you want to upgrade your headlights for better output and a much more aggressive look, take a look at those on the Throtl website and get yourself a pair.
just installed the brackets, and this is how it's gonna look like when it's all done and finished. I am gonna be removing this because we have to get the lines on first. I just want to show you guys what it's gonna look like, and it's gonna be placed right around here, just like so. It's gonna look really nice.
Really nice looking piece. So it actually replaces the factory brake ducts. We lose that brake duct, so I took that off. So this is what the brake duct look like just on that side. So it removes that and then actually uses the mounting points for that bracket on the side, and then it mounts on the core support up top. So really beef, really strong mount, which is really cool.
Okay, this guy brings this thing.
You don't need
sick,
that.
bro.
No, what is that? What is that?
I'm gonna clean it.
No.
I'm gonna clean it with this.
Keep that out of my fresh
Bro,
oil.
this is why I bought this. This is a mess preventer.
No.
This is the first time.
Since when do you care about not making a mess?
I just want to use my
He was trying to make an absolute mess with a coolant like 5 minutes ago. No, you're gonna make a freaking mess.
No.
Yeah.
You just...
Yeah, and then it's
And
called
then-
a mess. What we're gonna do now before we put the oil cooler line on, the last line on, is actually prime the cooler. So we have an oil cooler here that has 0 oil in it. We have oil lines that have 0 oil in it, and we want to prevent it having to fill up the entire line and cooler system on startup before it gets oil to the engine. So I'm gonna fill it up manually. This will help oil get to the engine faster and prevent oil pressure loss and damaging the engine. So we're gonna fill it up and hopefully not make a mess.
My little pump would have been done 10 minutes ago. Fell asleep twice already.
I think that little pump would have took you a lot longer than just.
No, bro, you like... Done.
Wait, let me get.
With this. Just like...
Cooler's topped off, getting the line on. We're gonna tighten it with this beautiful gold wrench.
Ooh, is that top secret?
Yeah, dude.
Top secret. That's top secret gold, bro, right there.
This is hot. This is pretty
pretty
hot.
top
For an
secret
AN
gold.
wrench, this is
Yeah.
pretty hot. That's a pretty looking cooler, right? Dude, that thing is stiff too. I like this mount because it like has this whole plate that runs the entire side, so it like directs airflow down into the cooler. I think that's a nice touch. Dual purpose, baby. I think it looks good. Let's get our sandwich plate on, get the lines
Bolted.
on the thing and everything tight, and then we can secure the lines up under here so they're not doing this, whatever that is. And then we'll put our radiator back in. Sandwich adapter is on. Now we're gonna put our lines on. So let's start with this one. Oh! Hey, yo. I only have one of these, dude. If you damage this one,
Wait, hold on.
His superhero skills was used. That's it. You don't have any more.
But why'd you say yo?
you almost dropped this thing. You dent this. That's not
You're
good.
supposed to say yo, not yo.
All right, we got a new Canon oil filter. We're gonna swing this guy on, and now we're gonna drain the engine oil. Oil change is done. We're gonna actually hang these lines down here like this. Everything's attached, everything's tight, but we're gonna put the radiator in, and once it's in, then we can tuck these lines back up under and secure them the way they need to be. So let's keep going. We got the front end back together, the core support and the bracing around along with our Mishimoto radiator and hoses. So now we're gonna start working on getting our rear race radiator set up. So Ricky's gonna start pulling our Cusco strut bar off. I'm gonna pull this off, which is our beauty cover. I'm actually gonna pull this off too, so we're gonna be replacing it, just kind of get it up out of the way. And then we'll get our rear mount radiator, our race radiator set up, and then continue on from there. So this is our race radiator. I'm gonna be interested to see how this sets up because this is gonna live back here, like way down there. So it's gonna be interesting to get this set up and mounted. You ready, Ricky?
Yep.
Ricky's never ready.
Power wheel radiator.
This is our first mounting bracket. It's gonna sit like this, and then the cooler is gonna come in here and bolt like this, and like boom, and then we have another bracket that's gonna be coming on top.
Like boom?
Unfortunately, it is up here in this hole, like way, like see my hand? Like it goes all in here. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky to film the install on this, so if it doesn't turn out that great, I'm sorry, but we'll try our best. So this is the first bracket going on. We're gonna sneak this up in there and bolt it down, and then keep going. We got one of our hoses made. We're gonna put this on the cooler, then we gotta put the other hose on the other side, and then the whole cooler goes in the car. Let's go, baby. So this bracket needs to be removed to give us the room that we need to get. I'm trying to get this hose out. So this hose runs from the back of the cylinder head all the way to the firewall. And this is actually the hose that we're replacing with the race radiator. So instead of having a hose that runs from the engine to the firewall, we're having a hose that runs from the firewall, from the engine to a little radiator and then to the firewall. So we're pretty much just jumping a cooler in line, which is what the secondary race radiator is. So I need to get that hose out, then we can plug our new hoses in and then it'll be in. We just got the room, so now we have the real estate to get that cooler in here and onto the mount. I'm gonna get this hose out and then it's simple as mounting it up, plugging our two hoses in, clamping it down, put it back together. There's the mount, there's the bottom of the cooler. She's up in there good, brother. We're gonna take it down, get the top mount on, and then tighten everything down so it'll kind of, because if we tighten everything on the bottom and we can't get the top mount on, then we have to loosen everything on the bottom again, which sucks, so we're not gonna do that.
How does that way back there get the airflow it needs?
I'm glad you asked. So, if you guys see on the Type R hood, it has a vent. The vent travels, the air travels through here and it comes out through here and it goes straight down there, going through that small cooling radiator thing.
Race radiator.
Race radiator. And it actually cools down and makes a big difference. If you guys go to Mishimoto.com, you will see that they have a video explaining and showing you the temps before this was all done and after, and it is a big difference. And this is why, the reason why they put it there, because they tested it and the airflow actually is functional. It's a functional hood.
That is on. We're gonna put our new Mishimoto coolant reservoir on, get that installed, and then we're gonna bleed it before we button everything back up. So before we put the strut bar back on, before we put the engine cover back on, I wanna get it bled, working correctly, making sure we don't have any leaks from anywhere, then we'll button her back up.
Ricky, what are you doing?
I'm gonna put oil in here.
You think Ricky's ticklish?
Yes.
Comment
ticklish?
down below.
Don't, bro. Yo.
Time to get some coal in this thing, baby.
I'm waiting for Quinn to give me the go ahead so I can start the car. Hold on, I'm trying to
Send it, dude.
And then, hold on, I can't reach. And now, we can check the levels properly.
You got pretty close. We need a little bit more oil, but you got pretty close.
So Ricky Styles' measurements were pretty close.
We were pretty close. He was like within probably 3/4 of a quart to being proper.
You hear that?
You know my Ricky style measurements never fail.
We bled the coolant, let it ran. We got good heat through the dash. We got fans kicking on, which is good. So we're gonna leave the coolant reservoir on the car, let it suck in more coolant overnight. For now, we're gonna put the front bumper and the under tray back on, and we'll drive this thing first thing in the morning. Let's go, dude. Let's go. So this is the first test drive. We've done the entire Mishimoto cooling system that you guys saw in this video. This is the first drive since we've put on our air intake, our turbo blanket, and our bigger intercooler. Now, unfortunately with stock tune, it restricts the amount of airflow through the engine. So we're not really gonna see any power gains immediately, but we are gonna be getting a Honda tune for this car that will help utilize the modifications we've done to this car and actually see some power gains through it. So until that, it's gonna be pretty much just sound. Hopefully it sounds better under load. But once we get that tune, it's really gonna open this thing up and start adding power. Oh, you can hear it spool. You can hear it spool.
Yep.
Dang. You've got to be able to hear that. You've got to be able to hear that.
You couldn't hear the blow off before.
You couldn't hear anything before. It sounds good. It sounds
perfect.
Cool. Now it makes the noises I want it to make. It sounds sick. It's not extremely loud, but it's there.
Dude, the blow-off valve.
I know, it sounds
All of it.
It sounds really good.
The stock recirculator, there's like. That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. We got our cooling system completely set up on our CTR. We got our Mishimoto X-Line radiator, hoses, our race radiator, our secondary little race radiator, and our oil cooler. The car's running great, everything feels good. We just need to wait for our Honda tune to get the most power out of all these modifications, which is coming in a future episode. Remember, guys, this is our current sweepstakes car. Every dollar you spend at throtlVIP is gonna get you one entry to win this car, plus $20,000 in cash. So head over to the site, pick up some merchandise, pick up some Mishimoto cooling products for your own car, and get entered to win this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Get out of frame! Get out of frame, Ricky!